See a good football team. Just really well-rounded as an offense, run the ball well, physical in the front. They finish blocks, and they've done a great job in pass protection too. So the quarterback is playing at an elite level, in my opinion. Hard to bring down, but making good decisions too. And made some incredible throws, especially the other day. So the receiving core super talented. So really you don't see a lot of flaws there.
What's the challenge with covering a guy like Courtland Sutton?
Yeah, just such a big physical guy, and really wins, I would say, the lion's share of the 50-50 balls, and just a big competitive guy at the catch point. So that's a challenge, when he's isolated, he does a great job, and they do a great job of getting him the ball. So there's a lot of challenge there.
Antonio Johnson looks like he's playing some of the best ball of his career. What was the turning point for him? Can you put your finger on it?
I think Antonio, a lot of that is just repetition. It really is. I mean, he's gotten so many reps now at doing what we're doing, and I think he's very, very comfortable. But he's also, like I said last week, he's playing a lot of roles for us. So he's playing nickel, playing safety, play some dime, moving around a lot. And I think he's doing a lot of the things that he does well. So he's got, I think, a ton of confidence right now, and I think that's a big difference for him as well. But he's put in the work. So, yeah, he's in here working, doing extra every day. So he deserves it. I'm happy for him.
Camp, take you back to March for a second. You had that free agent frenzy, that first statement. You got Murray and Jordan Lewis in the fold. How big were those two guys to sort of set your foundation for what you wanted to do?
They were huge. From a leadership perspective, one, they're total pros. But I think they really have driven the culture in the defensive back room, especially. They're just highly accountable guys. They're tough guys. They value what I value and what we value on the defensive side of the ball here. And just as an organization, they value toughness and accountability. They're guys that you often, before you ever correct a mistake, they're aware of it. They're correcting themselves and fixing it before you can even get to them. So from that perspective, to have guys who are in those roles and are super accountable, for the younger guys to see that's been huge for us as a defense.
They organize a DB-only meeting during the week. Yeah. How much of a head start, or just to get ahead a little bit, does that help as coaches?
Huge. I think it's huge, and I think the best groups or units do that. It's great to be a coach-led unit, and you can drive guys to a certain extent, but the best teams are player-led. And I think when your peers are holding you accountable, and you have that culture of being able to tell the truth to each other, to push each other, that's when you're heading in a great direction, and that's because of those guys.
You've always spoken really highly of Buster. Just how gratifying is it for you as a coach when he makes a play like the one he did last week?
Super gratifying. I'm happy for him, whenever something good happens to him, because I know how much he's put into this. And I feel that way about most of the guys on our side of the ball. You're just happy for him. You genuinely, I love these guys. I love coaching these guys. They have a great relationship with one another, and they're genuinely happy for each other. We don't have any divas where guys are whining about this guy or that guy. It's just, it's a culture of guys that love playing together. They're genuinely happy for each other when they do well. And we as coaches feel the same way about them, and that was awesome the other day for Buster too, to see that. It was great. It was a hell of a play.
This year kind of looked similar, kind of diving for him. Just what have you kind of seen from him and his playmaking ability this year?
He's aggressive, that's one of his best qualities. He's aggressive at the line of scrimmage. He's aggressive at the catch point. He's a tough physical kid, so you love that. You love if you have defensive backs. Bush will come up, he'll tackle you, he'll hit you. You guys have seen that. And he'll challenge you on the line of scrimmage. So that's what I love about the guy. He just keeps competing. Something bad happens, he keeps playing. And you really need to have that type of mentality as a defensive back. You got to have amnesia. And if ever that's the case, if he doesn't make a play, he comes right back and plays as hard as he possibly can. So I have so much respect for that, for him as a player.
You had a lot of different combinations you had to play in the secondary over the course of the year, but as you kind of weathered that and you get to this point, does that give you some extra cards in your hand that you feel confident playing because these guys all have had snaps?
Yeah, one, in all honesty, you find out a lot, too. You know what I mean? You find out who does what well, and then you also find out, who's ready, one, right? And it develops, to your point, I think it develops your depth because there's no, there's nothing like experience, there's nothing like repetition, I used to coach for Coach Harbaugh at Michigan. He used to say, there's only one way to get better at football. That's by playing more football. So, when guys get to play a lot of football, that's a great thing for them. That's how you get better. And in this league, I think people think like, oh, well, the guys are pro. How much better are they going to get? Everybody gets better. And we have a lot of young guys who I feel like have developed. They've gotten better. And they got that opportunity through getting the shot to play on the field, when the lights go on.
A lot of coaches say, they want their team to be player-led, but you seem to actually practice it. Just where does that sort of come from, or where did that come from you to know that this was the way you have to coach teams?
Probably growing up, to be honest with you. I grew up around that. My father was a high school coach, so I saw that a lot. One, challenging players, but loving the guys you coach, caring about them, caring about people. If you if you love people, you love being around people. It's a great business because it's a proactive business to be in. But I kind of saw that in his process. Putting it in the hands of the players, that developing a culture first and then letting them take that and run with it. And I've been around some other guys who I felt like did a lot of the same, and that had a huge effect on me. Developing the culture of a team, because I really believe that's more important than the scheme and everything else. Like, the scheme's great. Everybody's got great plays. You can line up and empty every play on offense, or you could be in the wishbone every play. It all works. It's all good. But it's who's doing it, how hard are they doing it, how hard are they playing. And I think at the end of the day, it's hard to give up on guys that you care about. So it's like the harder you work, the harder it is to surrender. Like Coach Lombardi said that. I think that's true. That's 100% true. So make it hard for them, make it competitive every day, and you're going to find out a lot about the guys you're playing with.
Cam, disguising coverage pre-snap, what's the line where you want to keep them guessing, but you also want your guys to play fast?
Yeah. You want to try and always be in the realm of simple us, complex them. As if you know what you're doing and you know what you're creating, the response you're trying to create offensively, I think that helps the player so much more. So I think it's so much about learning offense, learning what the response is to that disguise, and then the players can kind of take that and run with it, and they take ownership and leadership of that. So hopefully I'm answering your question the right way. But that, I think, is a huge part about it, a huge part of it, because as guys learn more and more about what the offense is doing, what the response is, they're actually a little bit more creative. And I think Liam's done a great job. He says this so much about, we don't want robots. We want you to be creative. We don't want to take away your creativity as a player. And that's exactly right in football. You can get it down. You can have paralysis by analysis, But once they understand what to do, we want to let them go and play fast. And the guys have done a pretty good job of that so far.
How excited are you to see Jalen McLeod get back on the practice field? What do you kind of want to see from him over these next couple weeks out there?
Yeah, I was just talking to him downstairs in the hallway about the same thing. I just want to see him play hard as hell. I want to see him go out and play like he did in the summer. Do what got you here, play hard as hell, and represent the people who raised you, the people you love, the right way, and go out there and kick ass and practice. And that we always watch that, and that always jumps out. I know I talked about Matt Dickerson a couple weeks ago. A lot of Matt's opportunity came from one, we knew of him and watching him before he got here, but when he got here and he got out there in the practice field, I mean, to me it was undeniable. This guy's doing a really good job, and he deserves an opportunity. So I think Liam does a great job with that. It's real. It's not like, hey, you're going out there and you're just if you're out there, you're competing and you're doing a great job and you're playing the way we want you to, with your hair on fire, yeah, you're going to get an opportunity, because that's always going to be able to help us win. So that's what I want to see for him too.
Miles High is one of the kind of a ruckus environment. It's going to be real loud there.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of environment that defenses look forward to going into?
I mean, it's a lot of these are obviously crazy environments. I played there before, and it is, it's an intense place. I just think the opportunity to go up against a great team and, play a high level of football, everybody's fired up about that. And like we said early in this media session, they got a great offense, and they're going to challenge us. And we're excited to go out and compete against those guys, and we got to do a great job stopping and run. We got to do a great job in coverage. So I don't know, man. I think everybody's just fired up about it. I'm fired up to get out there and play against a great football team too.
Resulted in the 6 touchdowns, but there's so many great plays even beyond those touchdowns that just proud of the work he's put in, and great to see that success come in return.
A talking point in a lot of press conferences over the last couple weeks around the league have been the pure progression passing game versus coverage-based reads. And where do you guys stand on that in being the progression? Are you a progression team and with Trevor and that place in the game?
Yeah, it's been certainly an evolution for us and probably a lot of teams across the league over the years. And I think a lot of it is probably in response to what defenses are doing. They present a lot of challenges, so we're constantly searching for solutions to those challenges. So we will use a mix of both coverage reads, progression reads. Depending on the play, depending on the situation, you're trying to find what's best fit for the quarterback to let him go out there and play fast. There are certainly advantages to those coverage reads that have probably been discussed at length, with giving guys simplified looks where they only have to go to one eye guy and then the second guy and then a third guy. But then there are trade-offs to that where now there's a lot for them to see, and can they get through those progressions in the proper timing? Can the receivers get to the spacing that they're getting to in the proper timing? Where coverage read presents you advantages where now I only have to look at 1, 2, or maybe 3 guys on a certain side of the field, or I only have to read off of one defender that could present an issue in this coverage, in this look. But now it's putting extra pressure on me to be right. So as defenses continue to kind of present little problems here and there with disguises, fronts, different coverages, we continue to look for solutions, but there's not really ever a perfect solution. There's only trade-offs. So every time you find a new solution or a new answer, you're trading off something else. So it ends up being a mix of both. You're trying to balance all those different things, and each play will be unique. You bucket the reads in different aspects for the quarterbacks to different ways to look at certain plays, but it's certainly been interesting to see how offenses like ours and probably everyone else across the league have tried to evolve it to create answers for the problems that those defenses present.
When you look at that Broncos defense, what do you see?
Well, you see really, really, really tough physical play, fundamentally sound, good at all 3 levels of defense, first level, second level, third level, the sacks, the run game. That success kind of speaks for itself in the stats. But you see guys in the back end, Sutton and really all of the defensive backs able to go out there and make plays on the ball, make plays in the run game. So it's just a really well-rounded unit. You know, you can search all day for weak spots, but you're gonna be searching for a long time. It's just, you don't put up that type of production, you don't have that disruption on the ball, you don't stop the run, you don't affect the pass the way they do without being good really in all areas of the game. You add on top of that the scheme, they're creative, they're multiple, they do a bunch of different things to challenge you. So it's a great challenge for our guys, and we're looking forward to it.
Is Surtain the type of guy you got to know where he's at on each play?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, they got a lot of guys that are like that, really. But he definitely is, not just because of his ball skills, but the way he can disrupt passing concepts and you know, cover different guys in different ways. There's not a lot of routes where, like I said, with the defense as a whole, there's not a lot of things that he has a weakness in his game. So he can play inside, he can play outside. He's great in the deep part of the field, great up front, great up in press. So you got to be aware where he is, not just because of the ball skills, but how he can disrupt a read or a timing or intent of a play.
It's obviously made a big impact this year in pass pro. Are you excited to see, you know, what an expanded opportunity for him as a ball carrier these next few weeks could look like?
Absolutely, yeah. We've gotten glimpses of it here and there. You see him on third down. He's had some carries. When he's gone in to spell TJ at times, he's had some carries. But I think when you see the physicality that he plays with in pass protection or even as a receiver out of the backfield, translating that into the run game will be exciting to see. Really, his play style, his effort, his demeanor is kind of attacking in every single thing he does. So I'm excited to see what he does with that opportunity.
Travis Etienne, 3 touchdown catches last week. He normally runs the ball in, but to throw in 3 passes, did you have confidence in that? When did you know that he could be that kind of player too?
Well, I think we knew he had that ability certainly for a while. It's frustrating when you don't have the opportunity to get and show that ability out there on a Sunday. It's one of those things we talked about Tootin a couple weeks ago, and some of the other backs, they have a lot of skills and different skill sets that we don't get to show on Sunday just because of the way the defense is defending you or the flow of the game. There's a lot of play calls and different things that you don't get to. You're preparing for all these different things, and there's so many great options to attack defenses, but they may play a certain way, you don't get to that stuff. So it was awesome to have all that work that TJ's done in the past game, and really all the backs have done in the past game, finally pay off. It just happened to be all of it in the same game, where usually we would like to get that kind of spread out a little bit more. But they took advantage of their opportunity, so it was no surprise to me. It was kind of one of those things you look up at the end of the game, you're like, oh man, that really, we did all those in the same game, and you still felt like you had more opportunities out there. So it was great to see all the work they put in with the quarterbacks, all the work they do on their own pay off.
What's been the challenge with the screen game? Just kind of playing off that.
Well, it's a couple different things. Each screen is unique, and each instance we're trying to run a screen could be totally different, where some of them we're screening and we're facing different fronts or facing different pressures. Some of them receiver screens, some of them play action screens, some of them drop back screens. So there is a lot of facets to the screen game where we've tried to improve. I think as we've had some turnover in the personnel and who's out there playing with each other, we've needed to continue to find ways to improve on playing together, because there is so much feel in the screen game. So guys have to play off on each other. So when one guy gets out and fits a block a certain way, the next guy has to know that that first guy fit that block that way, and I have to adjust my block accordingly. And I'm the back, and an offensive lineman out in front of me is now kicking out on a block because of the way the defense played or because of the front, and now a guard got out first. Now I got to adjust the way I'm running that differently. Same thing would be if I'm a pressure, there's a blitzer off of a side, getting used to, okay, now the timing of the screen might be a little bit different than it would be if there's no pressure and it's just a four-man rush. So there's a lot of little nuance that takes time and takes time on task and really takes time on task working together that we just need to continue to work on and try to improve to get the screen game to where we want it to get to.
How do you prepare during the week for going into a hostile environment like Mile High?
Well, there's a lot of different things. You hope that your work throughout the entire offseason, throughout the entire season, will provide some semblance of confidence and ability to execute under, adverse conditions where there's going to be crowd noise. It's like when there's games in weather, you're banking on all those reps of wet ball drill and doing different things in the rain. Well, it's kind of the same thing here, where you're out there and we've been walking through and you practice with crowd noise and loud music, and you have other away games. Now, it's tough to simulate that type of environment. They have an awesome home field and crowd there. So we'll do everything we can to try to simulate putting the guys under pressure, putting them in pressure situations, creating that crowd noise, putting them up against the clock. We try to simulate all those things the best you can, but you can only really come so close. So there's a bunch of different ways, substitutions, make the communication difficult, but it'll absolutely be a point of emphasis for us going into the game.